Well, I was 17 when I joined, and I left Canada for overseas in June 1944. I think at the time, to all of us at that age, was a glory. Of course, not fully understanding what you were going to end up getting into, but it was the glory of a uniform, and there was a lot of talk about serving your country, and I think a combination of all of it caused us to join the forces at that time.
My name is Darcy Spencer. I enlisted in the 17th Field Regiment, that's Royal Canadian Artillery. Well, I just graduated out of high school in May of 1940 at the age of 18, and the war wasn't going well at the time, and all of us knew that the way it was going, we'd eventually be called up to go into the military one way or the other before it was all finished. So rather than wait to be called up, many of us enlisted when they started mobilizing a regiment right in the town of Kenora. The idea of mine that was you'd be with 100 people that you knew, all around the same age, and that would be half of the battle. That was easy once you got going, especially overseas when you were dependent on one another for not only for survival, for entertainment and all that stuff.
Well, my name is Hugh Mcllwraith. I was born and bred in Kuwaitan. I joined the Army on August the 3rd, 1940. Things in Europe are going pretty bad, and I thought, well, one more help would be maybe appreciated. So there was a bunch of us joined up here together. I wasn't quite 18 years old. And we went overseas and spent 4 years overseas, mostly in England, Italy, and Northwest Europe.
Well, again, it was something that you were looking forward to. Of course, you'd talk to fellows that had been overseas and come back, and the idea of traveling by ship over to England and being in England and was going to be quite a novelty for all of us at that age. We were young and actually didn't know any better, you might say. But it was an experience, and I guess it wasn't until actually when you got into a theater of war that you actually realized why you were there. Then I think it come to light that you had to be there for a purpose.
With all these games and movies and stuff like that, that's not the way it is. War is no fun. It's killing people is no fun. You think of the toys and everything they sell to kids nowadays, they make them look like it's a big game, big fun game. When they get a tank shooting at you, it's no fun.
Every day was a close call. The only one time I can remember is we were out in support, and in support your job there was to clean hand grenades and deliver ammunition up to the front line, which was usually about 400 or 500 yards up ahead of you. And another fellow and I went down the road, and as we were returning, I guess we got in the lines of a sniper, and he took a few pot shots at us, and we headed down in the ditch. And we laid in the ditch there until we felt that we could maybe get out and get back to where we're supposed to be.
In my case, that situation presented itself, I think it was on the night of April the 17th, 1945. Now, bear in mind that the war ended in Holland on May the 5th, 1945, just 2 weeks. And we had just finished a little battle to retake the city of Arnhem. If you're familiar with that name, it's the movie A Bridge Too Far was based on bridge. And actually, we had a gun position where we could see that blown up bridge just on the side. So anyway, resistance wasn't very strong on the German side. They were cut off at the south end and couldn't get supplies, and they were just, actually, they should have laid their arms down long before they did. But anyway, we moved from there to our next position further east and got into a little town called Otterloo. And it was a day just like today, bright sunshine and cool. And most of the guys, it's all over but the shouting. And he took in his position. Then there was the odd rifle sniper fire in the distance and things like that. And that guys were a little nonchalant, figuring that they all took off back. There was nobody around. But that night, just around midnight, there was a large group that had built up in a town not too far away from where we were. And fortunately, we were forewarned that they were coming down this road, and an artillery regiment, a troop of artillery had 30 people. And there were two troops, say there's 60 people. We're the first ones that were hit by this large group of 600 or 700. And and that night, that battle lasted all night. And the people were killed that shouldn't have been killed, not only on our side, but their side. And it was one heck of a night. And that's where the closest calls came for me. You could hear the people that were mortally wounded out in the darkness there, and some ours and some of the enemies. And I can recall that night. I don't think I'll ever forget it. And you hear the cries in the dark, and I learned that night that the sound mama meant the same in any language, because that's what mortally wounded people will call for, young people.
Yeah, well, I was wounded in Italy, and I ended up in a month and a half in hospital there. And halfway home on the ship when we left there, the war was over in the European front. And so when we landed in England, in Greenock, Scotland, actually, and they worked to get us off the boat so we'd be free for the signing of the treaty on the 8th of May. So we got out of there, the war was over. There was a lot of going on in England at that time, a lot of happiness, people going every direction. And for us, we were happy it was over.
To think that your friends got killed, died 2 weeks before the war ended. Fellows that were in most of the battles in Italy and survived, and to have them die. And I visit the cemeteries where they're buried right now, and that's tough. That's tough. I don't know whether it's a feeling of guilt that you survived, but it makes you feel a little. Just why did they die? If you were to ask any veteran that took part in the fighting on the battlefield what he remembered on Remembrance Day, and he's willing to speak about it, first thing he would say is he would remember how his friends died in the battlefield. And then the next thing he would remember is all the close calls you have yourself that could add your name to the list of those that paid the supreme sacrifice. A veteran that took part in the battles has more than one Remembrance Day a year.
Remembrance Day is the time when we all get together, and not just all year, which we should be remembering, but especially on Remembrance Day. And I remember the buddies I lost in action. When they play the last post and they have the 2-minute silence, there's a lot of faces go before my eyes. Guys who didn't make it and become veterans as I have become. There's the boys like one of my boys from Dryden stepped on a landmine in Italy, and another fellow from Saskatoon got killed in Italy, and our tank driver never had a scratch on him all through Italy, and yet when we landed in southern France, he got killed in a freak accident. It's hard to imagine that, but that happened. And of course, I think two of the kids I went to school with here in Kuwait, probably mostly, and in all 3 services and that didn't come back. So I think of those things on Armistice Day, and I usually lay a wreath for my regiment at the cenotaph in Kuwait. Having been over to Holland after the war and seeing the graves, one which had 2,300 graves in it, it makes you wonder. And we should be very thankful in the younger generation too for what we have today. They gave their lives for us.
Well, I think the importance of it is it's to try to show and get across to people how and why they have the life they have today, that it just didn't come to them out of the blue. It wasn't something that was given to them, it was hard fought for. And it's something I think to try to draw people's attention to this and let them understand what Remembrance Day is and what it means. And what it means to us as veterans and Legion members. It means a lot to us people. And it is. It's a day that really shone towards the veterans and the reasons we have Armistice Day. And even when we parade from the Legion to the cenotaph, the people standing along the side of the streets is terrific to see. It makes you feel real good.
I guess it's more or less a feeling that you're there representing the ones that can't be there. We tell our kids that they wear the poppy, okay, to honor the ones that paid the supreme sacrifice in wars, in all wars. But we don't realize that with all the veterans eventually going to leave us, that we should be wearing a poppy is a tribute to any of those people that took part in the battles, because they too were there to risk their lives for war. So let's don't lose sight of the fact that the main purpose is for those that sacrifice their lives in. That's the reason you wear the poppy, and the others come next. But it's something to think about. We should be telling our kids that we also wear it to honor these people that fought next to the ones that paid the supreme sacrifice. It's going to come to that anyway, because in 10 years or more, there might be the odd one, or just, I hope to be one of them. I've tried to have an open mind about all this stuff, and these veterans that don't want to talk or about their experiences and stuff like that. It happened, and very shortly we're going to get our publication, The Legion. It comes out every 2 months now, and in it they publish the last post. The veterans that die since the last, only twice a year that they print the last post, in the spring and in the fall. And they're up to 5,000 names in that. So that means there's close to 10,000 veterans die each year. So in not too many years, there aren't going to be any veterans around and remember, they don't have any meaning whatsoever. There's these little skirmishes that you have around the world today that involve peacekeepers and stuff like that. It's not the same as a total world conflict where you're fighting to preserve your democratic way of life and things like that. It's in these small countries, these skirmishes is because one party doesn't want the other party to run the country. There's too many ethnic groups involved, and it's not the same as a world war. Everybody's involved in the world war, even the people back home that are working in factories. It's not a good thing. I try not to be too touchy about it. It's done and gone, but there are some things I'll tell you one thing, it wakes me up sometimes, but it doesn't keep me awake, you know.
The day is coming. Mind you, we've got Korean veterans that were younger than what we are right now, and they're going to carry on for a while too. But hopefully, through the services of the Remembrance Day and that, the younger people, and mostly the ones that had close family relatives in the service and did join themselves, join the Legion, will continue to keep this up. Hopefully, the people that are left will continue to look at Remembrance Day for what it is and what it did.